because the problem is that we can only take enough supplies, and you can't give medicine out for a year at a time without having a doctor look after you. So, are we ready for this?
Yes, let me just kind of show it. So,
okay.
I'm going to have to click on the video.
All right. I'm trying to change this right now. Let me tell you a little bit about Haiti. As you can see there, there's 8 million people in Haiti. Probably a few of those disappeared as a result of that earthquake. The annual income is roughly $250 a year, or that's $1 a day. How would you like to try to live on that? There's 80% of the people are in poverty. Only 63% of the people can read or write. The language is Creole, and that's a derivative of French, and it's something that makes it difficult for us to work down there because we always have to have translators. The infant mortality is 25% of the children die before they're 5 years old, and the death rate of mothers giving birth to children is 1 death per every 16 births. And if you can well imagine that if you're poor already and you lose a mother and you have 5 kids, how poor you're going to be after that. It's really a terrible thing. The reason this is true is because there's only 1 doctor for 20,000 people in Haiti, in rural Haiti. That's equivalent to 1 doctor for all of Grand Island. So this next picture is the medical team that's been going on for the last 6 or 7 years. It usually is 12 people. Now we are, because of all the awareness, we're going to have 20 people coming this time. Anyway, let me try something here. Jim, you're going to have to do it, I'm sorry. Got some, one too many of these electronic devices. This year, there's going to be 22 people going, so we need 20 extra suitcases. We normally take 2 suitcases per person, and we fill them with 50 pounds of medicines that we get donated by drug companies in the United States. Okay, go, Jim. So if you have any old suitcases like that, please give them to us. The people in Haiti are quite beautiful. Basically, they seem to keep care of themselves very well, especially when they come to a doctor. They get all dressed to the nines for that. Okay, next please. I'd like you to think about comparing your life to the Haitians. Next slide, please. Typical neighborhoods are without roads. They have houses that are half built. They're usually made out of cinder blocks. And next shot, this will show you one of the other problems they have there. I think that the garbage people in Buffalo can make a fortune going down to Haiti because there's no garbage pickup of any place in Haiti. And as a result, this is what it looks like. Next, please. This is a typical bathroom. They use latrines. Basically, a latrine is a concrete pad over a hole. And you can see from this picture here that there's not much privacy. That's cardboard as the outside. Next. The normal kitchen is outdoors. They have open stoves that are charcoal fired. Charcoal is hand-made by cutting down all the brush, and as a result, Haiti has hardly any trees left. It's an ongoing cycle. Next. Common means of transportation. For most people to get water, they have to walk a mile and carry a 40-pound, 5-gallon bucket on their head. If you are a little bit more wealthy, you might have a donkey. Next. To get around town, use tap-taps. Tap-taps are little pickup trucks. You can see they must have 25 people in this truck at the moment, and when they go whizzing by at 60 miles an hour, you wonder if they're going to get there. This is their bus, and it is quite an adventure to ride one of those things. Next. Other means of transportation are usually motorbikes, and the bigger the vehicle, the more right-of-way it has, and they use that very effectively. Next. Water faucets are very rare in a home. There's only a few clean water wells in each village, if they're lucky. And that's where, that leads us to the next slide, which shows you the normal source of water is a river. The river, as you can see in this picture, they're bathing in the river. The cows are walking in the river, and so forth. So waterborne diseases are terrible. Next picture is the Bethany Clinic, which was built 5 years ago in 2005. We invested $50,000 to build that clinic. Half of it went into the equipment for the laboratory, the other half went into the building. And I'm coming to you to ask for help for building the building. Rotary International and Rotary Grand Island and a few others are building the equipment. Next, please. To get pure water, they dug a well for this clinic, which cost $4,000, and then they put some equipment on it to purify the water. They use simple salt, and they use an electrolysis process to separate the sodium from the chlorine, and the chlorine bubbles through the water and that kills most of the bacteria. So getting back to the real reason in the next picture, there are these tremendous amounts of waterborne disease. Hypertension is high blood pressure. Many of us have it in the States. I couldn't understand why they needed hypertension as a problem in Haiti, because high blood pressure is something you would associate with high activity in a high tension life. Turns out that the reason they need it is they have to use salt to keep their meat from spoiling, because there's no refrigeration. So there's a lot of salt. Another one is malaria, typhoid, and so forth. I thought there might be more HIV when I got down there, but we've never seen a case in all the 5 or 6 years we've been there. The next slide shows what the reason for this clinic is, that most patients need more constant care. Next slide. Our team members basically discovered, after being there for a couple of years, that we weren't really taking care of the real needs of the area for health. We were taking care of the needs in terms of a Band-Aid on a very big wound, and we weren't really making any significant progress. Okay, so next slide. We proposed to build a clinic in Venetian, which is 20 miles north of Haiti, Lakai, where we've always stayed. It's a remote mountain village, and the roads are often impassable because it takes 1 hour to go 20 miles. And if you're sick and you have to walk 20 miles, it takes you 7 hours to get there, if you make it at all. So most of the time, the patients in these kind of rural areas don't get to see a doctor unless somebody from the States comes down. So if you look at the next slide, you see why there's a problem. And you can see that half the time there's a rainy season and the water roads are full of waters and rocks. And the next picture shows how steep the roads are. And that's getting to Venetian. Next. Then this next slide shows how we set up the clinics there now. We take a church. This pastor has 55 churches, and we set it up so that they have to come through the front door where they get triage, and they then get seen by a doctor or a nurse that can help write the prescription. We work through translators to do all this. Next page. This is where we're going to build the next clinic. Most buildings in this area have been built of cinder blocks, and we don't think that's going to make the grade with earthquakes. So we're throwing an extra $5,000 in there, hoping that we can reinforce it. But this was right back at the church that you saw on the slide.